Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Happy New Year. Welcome to another Ross's Game Dungeon reaction. I've been requested by the Anubi to react to the video game called Strife. Yes. This is on the Accursed Farms YouTube channel. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as Accursed Farms YouTube channel, the links are in the description below. If you want to check out my previous reactions to other Ross's Game Dungeon videos, the playlist card is going to be at the top. Just click on it and you'll be able to access them. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
You gotta break a few eggs to kill everybody. Or something.
What?
Welcome to the Game Dungeon. This episode is full of Strife. Strife is a first-person shooter role-playing game hybrid. Not a lot of these. It definitely leans on the shooter side of things, though. As you can see, Strife uses real-time ray-traced graphics with advanced lighting and reflect. No, I'm kidding. This is just a cinematic. This game uses the Doom engine. Now, this game isn't really a Doom clone. It's more like Doom's cousin that lives far away, where he visited once, but you forgot what he's doing, and really anything could have happened to him. So that's what we're looking at today. So what's this game about? Well, the intro doesn't waste any time and gets straight to the point, so let's hear it.
The comet struck our planet without warning. We lost our paradise in a single violent stroke. The impact released a virus which swept through the land and killed millions. They turned out to be the lucky ones. For those that did not die became mutations of humanity. Some became fanatics who heard the voice of a malignant god in their heads and called themselves the Order. Those of us who were deaf to this voice suffer horribly and are forced to serve these ruthless psychotics who wield weapons more powerful than anything we can muster. They destroy our women and children so that we must hide them underground and live like animals in constant fear for our lives.
Animals.
But there are whispers of discontent. If we organize, can we defeat our masters?
Yes.
Weapons are being stolen. Soldiers are being trained. A movement is born. Born of lifelong strife.
Great art style, voice acting with some conviction to it. That's a pretty good start. Gets me fired up to play it. But whoa, before we hop in, we have an example of some not so great storytelling.
Okay, before we continue, so this comet, I'm not sure, did it have aliens inside of it that have now commandeered, these humans, like inside their brains or something, and it's like a parasite that controls the bodies. I'm not entirely sure, how these people became this way entirely. I'm not entirely sure. But it seems like there's some sort of pathogen or some sort of creature that came out of these, out of the comet and have, attached themselves to these humans that call themselves the Order. Yeah. Okay, so, but the place looks like a medieval setting, It looks like this comet fell down on a planet in its medieval era. And, as soon as these people who came from this order started assuming power, it seems like they have high technology, advanced technology compared to the people of that village. And yeah, they've been overthrown. Okay.
It's the manual fills in the gap between that intro and the start of the game. You're a mercenary, you come to town looking for trouble, but get stopped by the man for an interrogation. So you're gonna pull out a concealed knife and stab his ass. Sounds good to me. I feel like they could have given me a text wall or something in the game
In the sewage system, okay.
itself, but whatever. Let's start the game. Here's the game. You pull out said knife and start the murdering. This is unfortunately another issue I have with this game. Your first two weapons are essentially garbage. I have to stab this guy 10 times to get him to go down. And these are the easiest enemies in the game.
Wait, what's the second weapon? I only see the knife. What's the second weapon, Ross?
So what if he's wearing armor? I see a pretty nice gap in his helmet there. I'm sure anyone who's been to prison would spot at least 10 places to shank this guy. Not that this was uncommon for first-person shooters at the time, but good FPS design now give you weapons that always have some practicality. Anyway, you escape from the Tarantino room and whoa, what's this? A person that's not attacking me? No, 2 people not attacking me. I thought this was the Doom engine. What's going on here? That's right, this game has some RPG elements, meaning you have characters you interact with and talk to. Unlike Doom, Heretic, Hexen, the goal of this game is not to murder every single thing that moves.
Then definitely this is a distant cousin of Doom. Yeah.
Now don't worry, there's still plenty of murdering to be done. Calm down, guys. Let's talk to somebody.
In a small world, word travels fast. I hear you just removed some obstacles from your path. Nice work. Are you interested in some more lucrative projects?
Lucrative? How is it going to be lucrative? What are we talking about here? Money?
I like how there's immediately a shady guy offering me a shady job with a Humphrey Bogart impression. Unlike other Doom-based games, this game was CD only, no floppies allowed. So in addition to it being huge, it means there's a lot of voice acting in the game and almost all of it is great. More on that later. Now the basic plot is if you do this guy's mission, you get contacted by an underground rebel group and join up with the resistance. From there on, you start plotting how to take down the Order, and it's not a simple process.
Frankly, the situation is a mess. You must accomplish several missions to prepare the way for more attacks on the Order.
Now, the missions are very roundabout towards your main goal, but they all make a lot of sense. Like real freedom fighters, or at least the smart ones, you can't just jump in and declare war on the whole world. You have to take it one step at a time.
That's true. You know, you have to organize your sleeper cells, you have to organize how much money you're going to be using, you have to organize the people as well who are going to be behind you. And, you know, the resistance doesn't just happen like that. It takes organization. You know, especially if there's a government that is well entrenched in the society, if they have fortresses and a lot of personnel and resources at their disposal. You can't just start a resistance willy-nilly. It takes time to prepare it. Yeah.
Like one important goal in this game is to prepare for an attack on the nearby castle, where one of the leaders rules the area from. But you can't just go in there, there's a force field blocking it. So you have to disable the force field. Well, to do that, you have to sabotage the power plant. Well, you can't even get in the power plant without getting a pass from the local corrupt governor. And he
A lot of work.
wants favors for favors.
I have 2 chores that I don't want to do myself. One is messy, the other bloody.
And even once you do all that and the force field's down, you still have to sabotage the controls to the gate, because you have to move a whole army through there. So to do that, you have to sneak into the sewers and curry favor with the Rat King, who sounds like Peter Lorre, so he'll let you through.
Ah, a surfacer in need of a favor. Down here you do a favor to get a favor.
And this
Everywhere you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
is just the first part of the game. So that might sound like a lot of beating around the bush to get to your main goal, but let's see you overthrow a corrupt government in less steps than this. Besides, the payoff to all this is an awesome battle where your comrades in arms fight on the front lines while you head in deeper to take out a priority target.
Is that like a grenade launcher? Okay. Hey.
This game really makes you feel like an infiltrator. You go so deep behind enemy lines trying to get to your objectives. On top of that, this game has kind of a half-baked stealth system, where if you don't do anything suspicious, or if you disguise yourself, you can walk around and talk to people and, you know, not get shot. I say it's half-baked though, because it really is. You can't go through this whole game using stealth. Sometimes you'll come to doors that automatically set off alarms that you have to go through. In other places, the AI was inconsistent where none of the enemy troops were attacking me, but some of the robots didn't give a shit and opened fire on me anyway.
Yeah, the robots see through your lies. The robots see through your lies. They know that you're not one of them.
Look at this. Everybody's going about their own business, but this robot isn't buying it and wants me dead. Nobody's reacting to this. Apparently, robots kill random people all the time here. What's the big deal? But if I'm not cool with a robot trying to saw my head off, now that's suspicious. Anyway, there's only a couple areas in the game where you can permanently remain undetected. The stealth element is just experimental more than anything.
Look at the sky. It's so red. Ooh.
Okay, so the stealth is just kind of tacked on. How's the action? Well, it's Doom with different weapons. Again, the first two weapons are trash. You only use them when you have no other options. The assault rifle is great in all situations.
Are you walking on water? That's interesting. Yeah, I can see there's two different types of, sky color, red and black. Probably that represents like in the evening, and then the white clouds and the blue skies is when it's in the daylight. Okay, interesting.
But you run out of ammo fast. The rocket launcher is one of the weakest I've ever used, and I've used a lot of rocket launchers. The poison bullet.
Wait, the icons on the left hand side, on the bottom left hand side, is it meant for armor and for health? And then on the right, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, looks like ammo probably, and maybe also more body armor or something.
Bolts let you do stealth kills on non-robots, but robots are your biggest problems in this game anyway, so... The flamethrower is okay, but you have to get really close to use it, and it's a nightmare to control. Yeah, see? The energy pulse shotgun thing is awkward, but good. The alternate fire mode is extremely powerful, and green. The Sigil of the One God is a sentient super weapon that drains your life force for ammo, is worshipped by the Theocracy, and grants the wielder enough power to control the planet. Oh, and the grenade launcher. I love the grenade launcher in this. It has bite. Not only do these do a ton of damage, but they bounce unpredictably, and you can easily kill yourself with them if you misjudge your trajectory. I'm a big fan of overpowered weapons that are unwieldy and really dangerous to use. And hey, if that wasn't enough, you can also get incendiary grenades which burn the ground in a radius for 20 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this actually just reminds me of Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4. The Loot Train. Is that what it was called? Loot Train? I can't remember. I can't remember the title of Episode 4. But yeah, when Drogon was flying by and burning the Lannisters. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of that. What we're seeing right here. When they were screaming and going, ah! Yeah, it reminds me of what happened to the Lannisters. Oh, terrible.
These will destroy anything that doesn't fly away. Damn it. Damn it. So, Strife's weapons are all over the map, but they bring on the pain and give you ample opportunities to accidentally kill yourself. So, I can't complain. Let's talk about the maps. On the grand scheme of things, the level design in Strife is kind of like Metroid. Unlike Doom, where every level is its own separate thing, all the maps in Strife connect to one another and form a giant world.
Whoa, look at that. And are there any jump points? Like you can go from one map to the next once you've discovered that new area? Because this is big. I mean, do you guys remember when I was reacting to Killing Time? With that map, it was, it had its own different sections, its own different regions, but it was small enough for you to get a hang of it. But this looks like a maze. Okay, it looks like something I would not play. Definitely I would not play it. It looks like a maze. Yeah.
Unless you've personally destroyed the area, you can backtrack and revisit almost every location in the game anytime you feel like it. I think this is really awesome. It helps make the world seem more real to me rather than just a bunch of disconnected level loads.
Yeah, it may seem that way, but it looks like it's a lot of work to figure out where you're going to be going next. No, it just looks like a maze. I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Also, you have quite a few areas that are totally optional that you can explore. Sometimes there are bonuses for going through them. Either way, it's extra gameplay just thrown in there for the hell of it. How many first-person shooters do this today? If Strife was made today, you know a corporation would chop up half of this and sell it as DLC months after the fact.
So true. Very, very true.
Just to cheapen the whole experience and milk people for all they're worth.
You have got the cancer from your body, but your heart still beats.
Yeah, you said it. Anyway, this game is a pretty decent size. It feels fairly huge. Thankfully, you have teleporters to help with things, plus you have your standard Olympic runner speed like in Doom. So is this game a shining example of what great map design should be? No, it's not. For starters, while there are definitely some nice and diverse areas, a few levels start feeling bland, like they're just filler. But to be fair, you have to understand that this was the mid-90s, when it was required by law that all first-person shooters include a warehouse, a factory, or a sewer. I also would have liked
Yeah, the sewer part definitely.
to see more levels like the Borderlands here. Make it more of a journey traveling between towns instead of just the short stroll it is in the game. But these are just minor gripes. My biggest complaint about the maps, and really this whole game in general, is the maze-like level design. Guys, let me tell you something. I am not a Minotaur. I don't spend my weekends hanging out in hedge mazes waiting to kill people. If I'm playing a game for the story or the shooter action, my first thought isn't how great it would be to have a fucking maze to navigate that holds me up from doing anything else for 20 minutes at a time or more. Sure, I get a map, but where's the entrance? I don't remember. Where's the exit? Which one? Do these lines mean it's just a bump in the ground or an impassable wall? Now this is not a problem unique to Strife. This goes all the way back to the first-person shooters. Strife is based on the Doom engine, and while it broke a lot of new ground, it didn't quite get away from Doom's level design.
You must strive for victory. You must strive to explore the entire map. You must strive to be stronger. You must strive.
I know I'm going to get some hate from people for saying this, but honestly, I think Doom is overrated. Now, it wasn't at the time. It was mind-blowing technologically when it came out, but looking back on it now, I can't say I think it's a great game. Now don't get me wrong, Doom still has good action, and it has Space Marines and Cyber Demons from hell, and that's timeless. I believe the parable of Space Marines versus Cyber Demons goes back to the ancient Greeks, possibly earlier.
Okay.
So that's good, but Doom's music would be sued for plagiarism if it came out today, and Jesus Christ, the whole game is a maze. You start off playing a small maze, and you work your way up to a large maze.
You know, I don't really know much about Doom, but I would say that it also reminds me of Marathon. You know, I've been reacting to Mandalore Gaming's videos on the video game called Marathon. And yeah, it kind of gives me that feeling about it as well, you know, with the corridors, the futuristic environment kind of looking situation, and, you know, just everything clumped up into this like small area. But it's actually a very massive, you know, game playing area, if I can say that. So yeah, it just kind of reminds me of Marathon, Doom. However, with this game, Strife, I'm not entirely sure. Like, they have buildings, you know, in the outside they have buildings, and then they also have some sort of like fortresses, you know, and then they also have like, you know, the sewage system that looks like a spaceship or something. So yeah, it's a mixed bag of environments in the game.
Mazes and more mazes. Who cares about progressing through the level or focusing on the combat? You're gonna spend half the game wandering aimlessly because that's fun, right? I'm not talking about exploring. Exploring, you wander because you want to. Mazes, you wander the same area over and over again because you're lost and you have to. Now some people
And you go mad.
consider Doom's level design to be brilliant, but not me. It's intricate, but so is a giant knotted up ball of wires. I think a lot of people get blinded by the nostalgia of Doom and forget that once you take away the demon shooting, the game turns into a chore. So the levels of Strife borrow some pages from the Doom playbook, but it falls squarely between Doom's design and a sane design. Lots of levels are totally navigable and not hard to follow. Others are just a maze designed to torment you. The most striking example of this is the sewers. Not only is it a giant maze, but you're under constant attack from the sewage. If you don't wear an environment suit, you start taking damage from all the toxic gas, and these suits only last a few minutes.
What are you guys eating in this community that you'd produce such toxic waste in the sewers? I mean, really? Whoa. Huh?
Now, they do sprinkle a decent amount of them in the level, but seriously, who wants to wander around trying to solve a maze while under constant threat of dying if you take too long to figure it out? This is from the James Bond villain school of level design. Ironically, the
Ew.
music here is really appropriate as it conveys this sense of hopelessness and desperation as you keep wandering the sewers aimlessly. Which way? Is it here? No.
Yeah, the music has got this like agonizing feel to it. This mopey, hopeless, agonizing feel to it. And now you're stuck in this sewage system, you know, trying to figure out where you're supposed to go. And you just hear, wee, 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 wee. Yeah, no, definitely. This will kill your mood.
No. No. Let's talk about the music. The music in this game is a mixed bag in every way. Well, not literally. The game didn't ship in a bag. It had pretty awesome box art, actually. Anyway, not every track is a winner. Some of these feel like the composer phoned it in.
Nah, it's a no from me with this one.
Others repeat over and over during the maze wandering, and I flat out found them annoying and thought no music at all would be better than what they included. This one sounds like a funeral procession.
This place looks like a temple.
Even though nothing especially sad is happening in this part of the game. In fact, this game doesn't really have sad moments, just oh god moments. I'd say about half the tracks are totally forgettable or you wish you could forget them. But then the other half is really damn fitting. I mean, from the very beginning, I love the town wandering music.
It's like they're trying to make some sort of tribal music. Okay.
It has this odd caveman-like feel to it, but I like the mood it sets and it doesn't get tedious like some of the other tracks. This track you hear midway through the game, and it makes me want to reflect on things. Like, damn, I had to kill so many people to get here? Makes you think. The big battle music is simple, but nails the "we're going to war" vibe.
Okay, this one's good.
So when the music isn't garbage, it's very atmospheric and creates this great mood that really goes well with the dystopian landscape of Strife. And it's one of the reasons I find the game memorable to this day. And to complicate everything, all the music is in MIDI format. This makes a mess for me because some of these tracks I like a lot have the potential to sound much better. With MIDI music, you can swap out the instruments and fine-tune it the way you want. The problem is MIDI music for games back in the day were the Wild West in terms of standards. Everybody did something different. Like the MIDI track may say it's supposed to play a trumpet, but of course it would sound like wow, 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 and nothing like a trumpet. So jump to the future where you can have the instrument sound like an actual trumpet, and some old game music will start sounding fantastic. Others will sound really off because the composer was counting on that instrument sounding like crap. Unfortunately, Strife's music definitely leans towards the latter, which makes it a pain in the ass trying to make this music sound better. I'm just gonna throw this out there. If there are any MIDI experts watching this who want to create the perfect sound fonts and custom tuned old DOS music like this, go ahead and contact me. Then we could convert it to MP3 or something and be done with it. This is an ongoing offer, not just for Strife. There's a lot of great MIDI music that's completely buried under crap renditions. It's like if Bach only had a tambourine and a kazoo to work with. And while I'm on the topic of improving things, it's worth mentioning I am not playing the original version of this game. I am playing this on an engine port. This way it can run on modern systems, has good widescreen support, high resolutions, lots of graphics tweaks, just about everything you can think of. But there's one feature above all others that made me seek out this port instead of the original, and that's mouse aiming. The port I'm using allows full mouse control like you'd expect from a modern game.
He doesn't want to use the keypad alone. Yeah, Ross and his never-ending fight with, you know, with not using just the the keyboard, you know, when he plays a game. Yeah, it's not going to be the same without that discussion in it. He needs to have that discussion in his videos. So yeah.
For first-person shooters, I need this. In the early days, your options for aiming in an FPS were usually the keyboard, and it sucked. Sometimes you'd have a wonky joystick or mouse solution, but they usually suck too. A lot of games had some level of auto-aiming because the developers knew it was always a partial disaster trying to aim with a friggin' keyboard. I'd say it wasn't until about 98 until mouse aiming as we know it today became mainstream for first-person shooters. Before that happened, I used to think I didn't really like first-person shooters because it doesn't matter how good a game is. If the controls feel like you're steering with your elbows, it can ruin almost any game. In fact, I never beat Strife until years afterwards once I was finally able to aim with a mouse. For people out there who play first-person shooters with a gamepad, I don't know how you do it. For me, that's almost as bad as keyboard aiming.
I've never used the gamepad before. I've seen how they look like, but yeah.
First-person shooters originated on the PC, but they later got ported and even developed for consoles that only had a gamepad to use. And gamepads were designed for platformers or 2D games first and foremost. I used to think that really sucked for console players because their options were to play a first-person shooter with a crappy control scheme or don't play the game at all. What kind of choice is that? It felt like a step backwards. I thought as the popularity of first-person shooters increased, consoles would come up with a better control scheme for these types of games. But besides some debatable exceptions, that just hasn't happened. If you had told me
I think it's maybe because of, you know, production costs. You know, making those gamepads is far more cheaper and far more readily available to produce for the consumer out there. So maybe it was just a business decision to keep on pushing these gamepads instead of making better controllers.
15 years ago, then not only would gamepad aiming be dominating first-person shooters, but many of them would be designed for the gamepad and not even consider a mouse until after the fact. I would say that's insane. But here we are. This doesn't mean I think mouse and keyboard is the end-all perfect control scheme. I can envision many better options. I mean, hell, the keyboard doesn't have analog controls for movement. But man, going back to keyboard or gamepad aiming, to me feels like playing basketball with one hand. It's harder, and even if you get skilled at it, you're always going to be at a constant disadvantage. There is a small downside to using modern aiming in the game, however. In the original, you can only look up and down just slightly, so you can never see the top of the sky. Now you can! It's going to rain! Also, there's one scene you were never meant to be able to look up in, and there was something always just out of your line of sight. Now, you can look up and you see a small plot spoiler just hanging up there. Anyway, the engine port for this is amazing and really breathes new life into the game. I'm using one called GZ Doom, but I should at least mention another one called Vavoom. This is significant because a few years back when id Software released the source code to Doom, it became much easier to make a port of the Doom games to run on modern systems and add new features. But not Strife. Strife had a lot of advanced code in it compared to Doom, and a simple port of it just wasn't possible. To make matters worse, this had become an abandonware game since Rogue Entertainment went out of business years ago. Well, the developers of the original game were tracked down, and while they were fine with somebody making a port of it, lo and behold, they lost the source code to the game. Whoops. Well, Yanis Legsdinch, whom I'm probably mispronouncing, did it anyway. Working off the Doom code, he reverse engineered the whole damn game and got
Wow, such commitment. Such commitment.
it working for his Doom port, Vavoom. After that, he shared his work with everyone, which is why we have Strife working so well today. Thanks, Giannis. So why am I using GZ Doom instead of
It's like a black hole. And it's just sucking all the clouds into it like that. Okay. It's kind of scary.
Vavoom? Well, it offers a few more graphics options, and the widescreen support is simply better. Also, when I tried running Vavoom, I got these dancing white pixels appearing frequently. I read this is due to how the computer rounds off the polygons, and I'm peering through the architecture into the sky. I don't care though. This was driving me a little bit crazy, like my monitor was being eaten by space ants. This happens in GZ Doom too, but it gives you the option to fix it. So GZ Doom means no space ants. And that's important to me as a gamer. What does suck though is Vavoom has awesome lighting and added colored lights for all the torches. A lot of eye candy is pointless for a game as old as this, but damn, that adds some atmosphere to the place. So I've talked about the shooter portion of the game, but wait, this is a first-person shooter RPG. How does that do? Well, it's a little bare for an RPG.
Whoa. The bartender's section just, made it like a security door or security barrier. That's cool.
But it's all good. Gameplay-wise, you have a basic inventory, you can buy supplies, and as the game progresses, you can upgrade your health and accuracy. So, pretty basic, but it only enhances the murdering. What's more interesting is the story. You get it primarily through talking to other characters in the game, though occasionally you get these slideshow cutscenes with slick comic art to them. I found the story to be pretty good, and it compelled me to want to keep playing more of the game.
There's a lying sack named Derwin who has been selling children to the Order. I won't tolerate that kind of depravity, not without my cut.
I just wish there was more of it. They could have tripled the amount of dialogue and it wouldn't have hurt anything.
I forgot that guy was the corrupt mayor or politician. Yeah. Wow.
But hey, if you have to choose, better to have less story that's all good than have a lot that's mediocre.
Hey, leave me alone. If they catch us wasting time, we get dead. Or extra work.
The characters really add to the atmosphere. And the voice acting. The voice acting is stellar in this game.
Here's a crossbow. Just aim straight and splat.
Almost all the lines feel like the actor really gave a damn about what he or she was doing.
Listen, if this comm unit is working, that means you're still 100% human.
The voice acting really helped me become more interested in the plot and the whole game world. There are some 20 or 30 speaking characters in the game.
And it's actually very helpful that, there's so many voice actors because all of the NPCs look the same. They all look the same. They're even wearing the same clothing, so you'd get very confused very fast. So if they all have their own distinctive voices in the game, you can actually, make a decision knowing that, okay, this is this person, this is that person, I'm supposed to be helping this person is bad, this person is good. So yeah, it's good that, the voice actors have put a lot of effort into it as well.
Finding new ones was always a highlight while playing.
I don't mean to sound alarmist, but if they keep pushing the power crystal this hard, it's gonna flaw and then shatter and then boom! Just a thought.
Seriously, the voice acting in this game is better than a lot of big budget production ones I've played. The actors simply put more emotion and energy into their roles, and the whole game just shines as a result.
Oh, you cut off his hand. And I thought you were a nice guy. Kinda. Let's go.
I honestly couldn't tell if all the dialogue was even that good or not, but the performance was so great I became kind of hypnotized by it.
Fight for the front and freedom. Move out.
Yeah, go kill the bad guys, let's do it! Now you do have choices in this game.
Wait, the resistance is called the front. Okay. Let me just write that down.
But a lot of the time, it's a choice of whether or not you want to die. Say, I reject this gentleman's offer.
Fool. Guards, rid me of this meddlesome peon.
Oops. Okay, I'm leaving.
So you can't say no. You can't say no in this game. When they give you a mission, you can't just say, maybe I'll come back to it later, or no, I'm not going to participate. You have to participate. Wow.
And I'm dead. No, I do not wish to join the resistance, because I suck.
You might want to reconsider, seeing that you're surrounded by heavily armed angry rebels.
No, you're a stranger.
Then die in shame and dishonor.
Die in shame and dishonor? Okay.
And yeah, I'm dead. Most of the decisions in the game are like this, though you have a few that totally change the outcome of the game. Now, I'm trying not to give too many spoilers here, but you guys need this one. Take a look at this guy. Remember that face. I know he looks like a totally upstanding citizen, but I would recommend not following his advice. He's kind of like the friend that gets you into so much trouble, like really serious trouble, that you start wondering if your friend is just more stupid than you thought.
That's not a friend. That's a bomb. Stay away.
Or if he knows he's going to end up in prison at some point and wants to bring you along with him for the company. Anyway, if you do what this guy says, you literally cannot beat the game. And you'll probably be gunned down like the insurgent you are. And there is no warning this is going to happen. It feels like a mission you should do. Well, that's creative. That's pretty mean of the game. That's the sort of shit old school graphic adventure games used to pull on you. I don't miss that at all. This is the only instance of this too. If you use common sense, you'll get to the rest of the game fine. So that's your first choice, whether or not you want to ruin your life. The others determine how the story unfolds and which levels you end up playing. Though one of the decisions you have to make in the game is pretty huge and affects the game in a way you may not realize at the time. This reminds me a little bit of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where depending on one choice you make, you can miss a big chunk of the game.
So you're not going to tell us how this game ends, Ross. You're gonna leave us hanging on that. Okay, alright.
Like at least 30%. If you combine that decision with the optional areas and don't explore at all, I want to say you miss maybe as much as 50% of the game. I respect it when games do unconventional things like that. It keeps you guessing. But yeah, this game has multiple story branching points, though it's really just the one major one, and has multiple endings based on that. Now, without saying what happens, while the ending concepts are pretty good, they're as lame as most PC games of the time. I think each one clocks in around 30 seconds. I have no idea how long it takes to beat this, maybe a dozen hours or more if you take your time. So all of that gameplay, lots of great characters, a nice engaging storyline, and a 30-second ending. Yeah, fuck you too, game.
Give you a hint. When I stop talking to you, you leave.
Well, at least you get more cool slideshow art, especially if you get the worst ending. So how is Strife?
So there's different types of endings? Come on, Ross, tell us what's going on in the end. What goes on towards the end? You know, some of us are not going to play the game. Okay.
Looking to you. This game really was amazing for the time. There were not many first-person shooter role-playing game hybrids before this, and not that many since, considering how there's only been a billion first-person shooters. Ultima Underworld and System Shock are two hybrids that come to mind before this, but those games were a little daunting. If you started them up, you had something like 50 controls, whereas all the RPG elements in Strife are pretty easy to digest if you're used to shooters. This game often gets compared to Deus Ex with good cause. It's Deus Ex-ish gameplay in a Doom world 4 years ahead of time. Unfortunately, this game didn't do well and is largely forgotten compared to other Doom games. Now, a lot of people blame the dated graphics, and while this was behind the curve in 1996, it doesn't look that much worse than other sprite-based shooters at the time. I think the real reason was that not only was the market saturated with first-person shooters, but Strife came out right in between Duke Nukem 3D and Quake. Man, talk about bad timing.
Duke? Oh, yeah, no, bad timing indeed.
Strife is going to get buried even further, since there's a MOBA game coming out with the same name, since apparently the company's other MOBA wasn't MOBA enough. MOBA. So Strife was great for the time, but how is it now? Well, despite the shortcomings, Strife remains one of my all-time favorite first-person shooters. I love the characters, the voice acting, the gameplay was very good overall, and it made me give a damn about what I was doing.
But you still haven't told us what's going on in the story with the Resistance and the Order. You know, the Front and the Order. I want to know.
Also, since we're living in the future, the Doom graphics kind of add to the atmosphere because everything is very angular, making it a little surreal. Huh, maybe the Gears of War people like Strife too. Plus, this game gets a bonus with me because it's part of a subgenre where you have modern or sci-fi technology existing within an otherwise medieval environment. I've only played a handful of games with that theme.
Yeah, I did discuss about this, that, you know, in the cinematic it seemed like the people were living in some sort of medieval old world kind of society, and then as soon as this asteroid hit the ground and the people, you know, those who survived, those who became these order priests and soldiers, you know, they were using advanced technology. And, you know, throughout the game you would see like medieval castles with hamlets, maybe, if I can say that. And then you also have the underground sewage system, which also looks technologically advanced. And, you know, it's just a mixture of different themes in one. Yeah. So it is kind of interesting in that respect.
But it's one I like, and it's actually not such an outrageous concept. If we had a plague that wiped out almost all the populace today, after a generation or two, we would be back to a pre-industrial society.
Yeah, that could have been us if COVID was a bit more successful. If COVID was a bit more successful, we would all be, you know, not really having the same sort of lifestyles that we're having right now. Things would be very different.
With advanced technology existing only in small pockets. Think I'm wrong? Well, can you build the computer or device you're watching this on from
Nope.
scratch? Yeah, didn't think so. It's back to farming for you. I played through the whole game again for this review, and I still love the hell out of it. Because a lot of games that are classics, you go back and try to play them, and you wonder what the hell you were thinking. Some games are only classics because they're old. They just wouldn't be good games today. Strife, I think, still holds up. What do you think? Am I being blinded by the nostalgia? I tried not to be. Being the perpetual cheap ass that I am, I didn't even play this game until several years after it came out. And you can too. The game is abandonware now, and with a Doom port, you can have an even better experience playing it than when it was released. If you like games like Deus Ex, you're not put off by the graphics, and can live with some maze wandering, you should absolutely play this game.
The maze wandering part, that's where I draw the line. Everything else, yeah, sure. Even with the graphics. But the maze, I'm sorry. I can't.
It does have its problems, but it also has aspects that are so good they permanently stand out among other games I've played. You can't really put a score on that. Different games resonate with different people, and damn, this one hit a note with me.
Whoa, are those clones? Huh.
This is not an above average game. This is lifelong strife. Fight for the front and freedom. Move out!
Five feet by 4 feet, 5 feet by 4 feet, 5 feet by.
Okay, guys, yes, that was Ross's Game Dungeon, Strife, and yeah, oh, on the Accursed Farms YouTube channel, yes. Look, Ross didn't really give us more information about the game story. That's what I want. That's what I want, because in the beginning, really, it started out very interesting. These humans surviving this apocalyptic event with the comet falling down on the planet, and some of them got converted into these, should I say, like thralls that worshipped this culture or religion, and they were called the Order. They were taking people into their organization, women and children, probably converting them into loyal subjects of the Order. And now you have also this resistance, this front that is fighting against them. And you'd want to know, where does this develop to? Where does it lead to? Where's the end of all of this? But Ross kept that away from us. This is the first time, because usually with Ross, he tells us the entire game from beginning to end, with the storyline. And that's what I'm here for. But yeah, the gameplay was also quite interesting. It also reminds me of many of the other, Doom-like games that I've seen from Mandalore Gaming, and also from Accursed Farms on Ross's Game Dungeon. And yeah, it's all good in that respect. I just don't like mazes. That's one thing I will not entertain. I will not entertain mazes. I don't want to go mad. I don't want to give up on the game, And mazes do that to me. I just get exhausted, I get tired, and I just give up on playing a game. So yeah, the maze part really would kill me in terms of enjoying the game. But yeah, some of the music was also not really enjoyable. Only the action music, that was great. And yeah, I just need to know more about it. Probably I have to go check it up on the internet, on Google, and see what happens in the end of Strife. But yeah, it's a nice name for a game though, Strife. However, you don't have that option. You're not given the choice, to join with the resistance. You are forced. If you don't join them, then you die. So yeah, it's kind of weird. This resistance is kind of weird. They're acting just like the people who are oppressing them, if I can say that. Yeah. Okay, guys, that's it. Remember, guys, if you want to check out the original video as well as Ross's Game Dungeon, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I will see you guys next time. Okay? Bye-bye. And Ross, give us the full game storyline, please. Don't do this to me. I want the story.